Okay. Hi, Bunny.
Hello, very happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me all the way from Scotland. What time is it there?
It is just after 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so tea time-ish.
Oh, okay. Well, we are just kind of starting our morning. It's coffee time for me.
I love that. I'm on the water, so that's yeah, the other
Good.
end.
Good. That's smart. I'll have water next, but first I still have to get through my coffee.
Love that.
That was not a plug for Starbucks, by the way. Um, so I do have my wonderful, amazing, lovely guest today, the Reverend Bunny Love-Schock. She's an ordained interfaith reverend, prosperity teacher, somatic embodiment coach, Enneagram mentor, and so very much more as I've been listening to her. I hear that you were trained as an actor and dancer. You worked in corporate as a high-powered fashion producer. You've worked on large-scale events like London Fashion Week and the 2012 Olympics. You lived in Dubai and worked with luxury corporations like Lamborghini. This sounds like a commercial. But that's not even the most interesting stuff about you. I find the most interesting thing is that you left all of that, which is what I'm trying to do with my life. And you now have 25 plus years of experience leading others through learning to be in the flow, get in the flow, embrace abundance, and manifest the life they truly want.
Mm,
You are intuitive, poetic, beautiful, and absolutely magical. And I am so thrilled that you have joined me today.
mm,
We met, it was magic that brought you into my orbit. I believe that fully. And we were in a podcast group, and you were actually, I don't know if you know this, but you were in my very first pod breakout.
yes.
And so I find that magical because I just connected with you. Just listening to you in that very brief moment, I felt such a connection with you. And I believe that you were brought into my orbit, and I've been listening to your podcast, and I spent the last 20 plus years working in government. And I've only just in the last year started to wake up, which is why my podcast is called Shake Me Awake, to the idea that I haven't been living my true life. I haven't been showing up in the world as my true self. And it's breaking my heart and it's breaking my body in a lot of ways. And I have to figure out how to get out, and I have to figure out how to start to show up as my true self and share my heart and share my spirit with the world. And listening to your podcast has really changed my thinking about how I want to build a business. So I'm at really a critical phase where I'm trying to figure out how to move into this business world, but I don't want to bring the same tools with me that have gotten me where I've found myself. And listening to you has been life-changing for how I'm looking at forming my business in the future. So, can you talk a little bit about what what that feels like to you, me saying that?
Mm. Well, first of all, thank you so much. I feel like my cheeks got pinker and pinker listening to you, and my inner child is like, that person's talking about us. So that's very humbling. Thank you. And I don't take any of what you said lightly there. So it's really thank you. And I'm so happy magic brought us together. And I'm so happy that you're also connecting with your own magic and what that might get to be in this next, as I would describe it, spiral for you as well. And to your question, one of the most important things for me, and one of the most essential things for us, especially as women, is being in a relationship with our body and being in a relationship with our nervous system. Our nervous system is our map to wealth, it's our map to success, it's our map to a business that has meaning for us. So, one of the reasons that I don't simply focus on mindset is because it's such a teeny tiny part of the overall biological organic intelligence, that we deserve to play full out with every element of what is available to us in the canvas and in the like the paint drawer of our lives. So when you're saying you are desiring for this business and desiring to not bring some of those things with you that might not feel like they're as authentic or aligned or part of your identity anymore, there's a really beautiful space in that to allow that to be there, and also just to allow the humanness of us, that sometimes those things will come with us even when we think we haven't packed them in the suitcase. And I'll be like, how did that thing get here? I'm pretty sure I didn't pack that. And the thing will be like, ha ha ha, I'm here, how are you doing? And one of the things that I also talk about in line with the nervous system and with the soul and with the magic of who each of us are, is that when we want to manifest a life and a business and a delicious existence, and when we want to have it all of it has to include all of it, including the things that we think we no longer want. Because if we kind of try and press those away too soon before the nervous system is capable of understanding why we might want to push a part of us away, it can accidentally lead to more abandonment. It can accidentally lead to more withdrawal. It can accidentally lead to more overwhelm, which is often where we see what we might think of as overnight success happening, and then just as quickly that success diminishing because the nervous system, the biology of the person, hasn't built capacity to hold everything that comes with that expansion. And so then in that space, we get to bring some more grace. We get to bring some more softness. We get to bring some more compassion. And that isn't diminishing our fire. That's not turning down our light. In fact, that's supporting our fire to burn for longer. That's dialing up our light to be bright forever beyond, beyond the years that we can imagine. But again, when we work with the body, when we work with the nervous system, when we work with sensation, then again, we're really stepping into magic. And for me, magic is biological, magic is human, it's innate. We've just forgotten. And, part of my job is to help all of us remember.
Oh, I love that. It actually feels like permission to be gentler with myself and to go a little slower and to not feel like, because I will say, I think when you're trying to make such a huge transition, you kind of have this feeling of like, well, the person I've been showing up as hasn't been working, so I have to now try to figure out how to show up completely differently. And it's like you just gave me permission, gosh, I got a little emotional about that, to be softer about the parts of me that I feel like served this other life that I've been living that isn't, it's not that it's not true, because
Mhm.
there's truth in it. Of course there is, or I couldn't have done it for the last 20 years. It's just not, it's no longer how I want to spend my time and how I want my energy to be put out into the world and where I want my energy to flow. And it's sort of sucked out a lot of parts of me, because of the type of work that it is. It's very serious, it's very sad. And I have this whole other fun, silly, creative, just goofy, juicy, loving, spiritual side to me that nobody in this other world that I'm living in right now really knows about. And so I've hidden it. And I love that. I feel like it feels more like a slower walk to from here to here than where it felt before. If I'm envisioning it, it felt more like I had to kind of unpack, like you said, take all these packs off and walk through a door as a totally new person, but that's not really it. It's just, maybe I've got these heavy packs full of stuff and I can start to take a few things out along my journey now that aren't serving me or that I don't need to bring with me anymore. Maybe they were protection tools or, ways that I got through that life. And then I can pick up some new things as
Mm.
I walk along my journey to my new path. So that feels like a much nicer
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. And for me, a lot of women that I sit with and guide, there's this real theme of this really sort of harsh cutting of some version of a identity cord. It's almost like the umbilical cord to our previous life. And actually that thread is still really important because it would be like us trying to not be a little girl again. It would be like us trying to not be a teenager. We can't not be those things. They're within us. They're versions of us. They're a circle within the spiral, within the spiral of who we are. And so for me again, I'm really interested in how do we come to a place that feels truly like balance? How do we come to a place that feels like harmony? How do we come to a place where we can be in relationship with, excuse me, and appreciate everything that we have shown up as in the world so far, knowing that it just doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. We get to continue to expand, we get to continue to explore, we get to play into different archetypes, as I would describe it. And in somatic coaching, we have this protocol, this tool of pendulation, which is when we get to spend time with a part of us that might be emerging or that feels like this, yeah, like you were saying, this bubbly, fun, spiritual part of you that some people haven't yet met. And then there's another version that they do know, but actually they're both you. And part of it is when we pendulate, we want to spend a little bit more time with the sensation or the feeling, the expression or the experience of what it is that we want and we desire, so that then we can pendulate and take that back to the part of us that we feel is that it's actually complete in its expression of itself, and say, hey, I just want to thank you so much for the journey that we've been on together so far. It's been rad, it's been wild. I really feel, I really feel with so much gratitude and appreciation that actually this theme is emerging for me. And actually I'd like you to come with me as we explore that. And so then again, what we're doing is we're unburdening the parts of ourselves that might perceive, again, everything has to change. I have to become this completely different person. But what you are becoming, you're coming into a relationship with what your sense of what you want now is, or what your sense of what you want more of. And sometimes that can take a wee bit of time to identify what that is, and again to give it some grace and some space, because otherwise we can get lost in feeling like in the question of like, what is it? Who am I? Where am I going? And those are impossible questions that we can actually they can never truly be answered. But if we were to swap those out and come to a place of, how is it I want to feel today? What is, so if I was to bring it into sensation language, I might have a conversation with myself or a client, and they might reply, I'd quite like to feel, fizzy or bubbly or joyful. If people are like, oh, fizzy, bubbly, ooh, wonderful. And then we can be like, well, is there anything that comes to your heart? Is there anything that comes to your mind when you think about, fizzy, bubbly, joyful? And they would reply with whatever that might be for them. And so then it's like, okay, so can you make space for that today? So then that space is made, that experience is met, that sensation can then be memorized. And that's what we're looking to do in the nervous system. So we're actually looking to memorize everything. We're looking to memorize joy and expansion as much as we're looking to memorize and understand scarcity, um, abandonment, disconnection, even disgust, even grief, even overwhelm. We've never been trained, we've never been invited into a particularly thorough sensation, language, or conversation. So if I or my clients or my community, if they know what overwhelm feels like, they also know that overwhelm and abundance are actually the same thing. So whenever people say to me, I'm feeling so overwhelmed, what I am also hearing is you have so much capacity for abundance. You just haven't let them have a conversation yet. Because overwhelm and abundance, they actually want the same thing. But unless you're held in a space that really allows for that conversation, which is why I love what I do so much, because I'm not just telling you to think about something differently. I'm not just saying to you, you got to come up with your mission statement for your business. It's like, what's the feeling? What's the essence? Where do you want to be in relationship with the muse of your business? How are they presenting? What is the feeling? And then when we understand what overwhelm feels like, sometimes that can include a contraction. If an opportunity doesn't happen in the way that, say, you might perceive it, which can often be what the bridge between contracting or being in corporate and then becoming, your own CEO. If you know that feeling of contraction is overwhelm, you also know that you can have a conversation with that contraction and overwhelm and still move forward whilst overwhelm is present, but not into a place of burnout, but in a place of actually sustainable expansion. And then that again starts to be something much more interesting, much more sustainable, something that has longevity to it. Then you're starting to have continued repeatable success. Because it's of no interest to me either when entrepreneurs have, 5K, five-figure, six-figure, seven-figure months, but then they don't have another one for like another 18 months.
Mhm.
Want to do it again and again and again. We want to get the nervous system in a place where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, look at me with this capacity to manage not just the money, because people always think it's the money, but it's actually everything that comes with money.
Mhm.
Money is also never about money.
Mhm.
People always would say yes to more money. What people would not naturally say yes to is more responsibility. And money and responsibility are also two sides of the same coin, trying to have a conversation about how to create more stability.
Right, absolutely. Oh my gosh, that is so, I never put the two together of overwhelm and abundance being the same.
They're the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that blows my mind, when I'm thinking about, okay, I've got to start a business, like I said, I'm bringing the tools from my previous life with me, which is project management and time management and analytical and logistical and practical, and I'm taking all of that where I'm trying to build these frameworks and I'm trying to look at numbers and I'm trying to what is going to potentially bring me the most ROI in the shortest amount of time, and I'm and that's already burning me out because it's clearly not where I need to be going. It's clearly not, my heart's not in it, and so how do you help entrepreneurs stop thinking so much about business, business, business? I'm trying to run a business. I'm trying to get money. I'm trying to make sure that my product is valuable and that people want it. And, because that's what a lot of when I type into Google, I want to start a business. What should I do? Oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed with, well, you need to think about this and you need to think about that. And you need to write like you said, write your business plan and your mission statement and start your website. Um, but I don't want to start it from there. And I get so quickly overwhelmed by all of that talk when what you just said is golden to me. I want something that will sustain me in a calm, joyful state for the next 20 years. I mean, yes, business is hard no matter what kind of business you start. There's going to be parts of it where you have to think about the finances and you have to think about contracts and things like that. And those are tools I can bring with me from my old life. But I don't want this one to be based in that. I want this one to be based from my heart and my soul and something that I am going to wake up every day and want to spend time on. And also, like sitting here talking to you, I have more energy than I've had all week. You know, I feel more filled up than I have felt all week long with all the meetings I had at work. None of those filled me up the way talking to you for just, 20 minutes has done. Um, that's what I want to sustain over the next 20 years. So how do you talk to entrepreneurs about that?
Mm, mm. Well, first of all, let's memorize this sensation for you. Let's make it really, really practical in this sense, because then this is also gets to be, it's a demonstration and it's a, it's a testimony as well. So you can recall the sensation, and the listeners can do it too. So if the listeners are also feeling kind of filled up or inspired or a reconnection to just something yummy, because this is how this conversation feels to me. It feels really yummy. It feels really delicious. It feels like something I would definitely want to taste again. It feels like something I would definitely want to recall. And so I would ask you, if you were to scan your body really quickly, and what I'm doing here is also what I do with my clients and a lot of entrepreneurs. So we'll kind of live workshop this and then and through the practical and then bring it into a little bit more of the philosophical. So if you were to do a body scan just now, and if anybody's listening and you want to close your eyes and it's safe to do so, you can close your eyes. And a body scan is just really simply, you start at your head and you just draw your attention from the crown of your head down and just carrying on down through the body. And what you are looking to connect with is where that sense of, I feel so full, I feel really filled up, I feel more energized. And when you land on where that lives in the body, you could maybe let me know where that lives.
It feels like this pounding out of my chest, like a kind of like a drum beat reverberating.
Mm. Gorgeous. It feels like a kind of, yeah, pounding, reverberating drumbeat out of your chest. Okay. And so this here that you're doing, this gorgeous hand movement from your heart that's opening out. So this for you is what we would call an anchor movement. So if you want to reconnect, memorize this, think about this drum beating, emitting, taking a fuller inhale and exhale there. You can really feel it. Maybe it's filling up more of the body now, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Maybe it's coming
I
in,
feel it kind of,
spread it.
I feel tingly.
Yeah, tingly. And I love that there's some spiraling in the body that's happening.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we're really beginning to pay attention to everything that the body is constantly telling us and communicating. And when we come into relationship as we are right now, it does exactly that. It spreads through the body. There's a tingling, and that might be going even more. That might be going to the thighs, the knees, the calves, the feet, and then suddenly your temperature might have changed. You
Uh-huh.
might be feeling warmer. Yeah. And what's beautiful about this,
Wonderful.
it's wonderful. Yeah. And this is what I mean by being magic is human, being magic is human. And then you might also really feel it across the shoulders and through the arms and into the palms, and the palms might be getting a little bit tingly as well. Yeah. So we're having a full body, almost like taking a picture in the nervous system
Mm.
of actually what home feels like to you when you also are in relationship with the true essence of what you want to feel and sense and experience in your business. And we are, yeah, we're not going to rush through that. We're not going to rob you of this moment. Same with the listeners. We're not going to rob anybody of this moment, because when you start here from this cup that runneth over, this body that is in its aliveness, you can sense it and you feel it. You may also feel a natural impulse to actually get up and go somewhere and do something, right? And I have not said to you what we're going to do is X, Y, and Z, okay? Because we can't start with the mind. We're again, find that sensation, connect to it, anchor it in. We've got the hands moving in and out as well as a reminder, should you need it in the future. Gorgeous. Lovely. That's your anchor movement there. The listeners might have one of their own as well. Now, imagine here in this place as you're doing that, imagine that part of this is you are sending your energy out into the world. Okay, so you can also feel if that arm movement, those hand movements want to get bigger, like that. Yeah, you can feel that too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's stretchy and big. Suddenly you might have a sense, maybe a little bit of tingling, kind of, I would call it the crown chakra. Yet you're pulling up your sleeves, you're
I'm getting hot.
ready. You're ready. Yeah, totally. And then you are aware not only of the body, aware of the whole body. You're aware of I would consider it like the auric energy field outside of the body, aware of that energy in front of you and behind you and to the side. So suddenly it feels like you're maybe in a bit of a, like Glinda from The Wizard of Oz when she comes in the big bubble. Okay. Yeah, exactly. You're in the big bubble. Okay. So suddenly you've got more energy. And so again, we're memorizing this in the body. So
Yeah.
if I did say to you, listen, we're going to have a wee look at some systems now to help you stay organized from a practical perspective in your business, you might be like, well, actually, that could be quite helpful. That could be quite helpful. And then just notice if you contracted in a wee bit, which you might have done as you came into the brain. So then we know again that if we come back to the hands, and we come back to the space, and we're emitting what I think of as our energy signature or our soul perfume or whatever it is. And then suddenly you're like, oh yeah, wait, I did just feel really good like 30 seconds ago. Maybe I could reconnect with that. Oh, this is me reconnecting with it. Look at that. It's happening. It's happening. Okay. So then we're here. And then here, the first question I would say to anybody is, it's not even a question, actually. I would just say, can you say good morning to your business? Like, good morning, business. Hi, how are you? And the essence of your business will say hi right back. And again, it can feel a little bit emotional. It can feel like something is moving, right? There can be a tenderness there too. And again, we don't want to rush through that. Where is this tenderness? And we're not making meaning out of it. We're not making meaning out of it. We're simply in a relationship with the sensation, in a relationship with a sensation. I didn't know I was allowed to say hi to my business. I didn't know I was allowed to pull up a chair and have a conversation with her. And what's the vision? What's the vision? What would I love to spend the next 12 to 18 moons of my life doing? What would I love to be doing? So then you can get into a relationship with that. And then as that and it will not clarify itself straight away, because clarity comes much, much later. This is also a great myth, is that we have clarity at the beginning. We don't. Clarity, I think of clarity like a Southern belle that likes to arrive really late. You invite her to the party, clarity. And you're like, you have to be here at 7 o'clock on Tuesday. And Clarity's like, sure. And but in the meantime, you have to organize the party and you have to do all the things. And once you've done all the things and you're kind of sipping and staring on the porch, clarity arrives in that in-between space of you feeling, sensing, knowing, oh, I know what the next right step of action is to take. Let me do that. Let me do that. Let me do that. And so it becomes a series of this expression of connection that we've spoken and workshopped here to a certain extent. It becomes this fuller expression of love. It becomes this sustainable, inhabitable sensation of this, this energy bubble, or in my methodology, I call it a body prayer. I call it a body prayer. So this is the expression of a body prayer or even body poetry, that when we're in relationship with the whole nervous system, with the whole being, we're not just trying to think our way through anything. We're feeling, deciding upon the sensation that we want to connect with continuously. We anchor that into the body via a movement. If you had, again, if we'd stood up, if we'd taken it bigger, if we would, if we were doing this together, we would be walking around a space, we would be making different shapes, because again, how does fizzy joy, success, what shape is it? What character is it? What personality does it have? What does it want to say? And so then from this place, when we do then move into what are some of the tools that you feel would really support you in your business? For me, always a paper and pen, old school, always going to be a paper and pen. A spreadsheet can do everything that 700 other apps can do, right? Zoom is fabulous. And if you have a way to take payment, you're winning. You're winning. Anything beyond that is business development. But if you've got those things in place, you're in a fabulous place. And we're allowed to let it be that. I'm going to use the word easy on purpose, because when I use the word easy, there can be another part of us that arrives that believes that the ease isn't allowed. So then we get to meet that part and say, I think we should unburden you now too. I think we should invite the part that thinks this has to be hard in. I think we should bring that part onto our lap and into our heart. So, let me bring the part of me that thinks this has to be hard home. And let me say, we have done things that have been hard and we can do it like that. But I don't know about you, but I'd love to try this in a little bit of an easier way that just felt like that bubble and I was Glinda. What do you say? Suddenly you're unburgeoning that part that thinks it has to be tough. And right there, that's also where we get this miracle moment where we get to experience again this breath, this fuller inhale, this fuller exhale. Yeah, it just happens automatically. And then you've expanded, you've grown more, you've actually made more space for more prosperity, more abundance. You've also probably made more space for more overwhelm, and that's allowed too. That's allowed too, because they're the same energy. And I don't want to eradicate overwhelm. I want to know what it feels like so that when it arrives, I can say, oh, wait, hang on, I remember this. Wait a minute. Okay, okay. I know how you feel. I know what this sensation is. Let me get back in my body. Let me say again, overwhelm, come closer, come closer. Whew, yeah, we were outside of our body. We were outside of our psyche. We were outside of our soul. And then love reminded us, come back home. Let's reset. Took, a couple of minutes. Doesn't take a huge amount of time. All right. Okay. Look at that. Oh, again, look, here's the Southern Belle. It's clarity. I know why I was feeling overwhelmed. It was this. Okay. Let me pay attention to that. Let me take action on that. We're good to go. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. And you do that a couple of hours a day, a few days, however many days you want to do a week, over a year, over 18 months, you've got yourself a really sustainable, beautifully loving, generous business that you want to get up in the morning and go and spend time with.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that just sounds so much more wonderful than planning a business around, ROI and spreadsheets and, trends and oh,
Yeah.
it it has really been stressing me out because I can tell you the place at which I've been trying to figure out because I have a lot of business ideas. I'm a very creative person.
Mm.
And I have been trying to figure out which one to spend my energy on, and it's all been happening right here. And it has felt like a really tight helmet. Like my helmet's just on way too tight. And I'm trying to figure all this out from here.
Yeah.
And, it's been headaches and it's been stress and it's been, I think my face has been wrinkled into a terrible mess because I've just been like this tight. It's all felt really tight. And
Mm.
I love the expressing what that feels like and expressing that's not the conversation that we grow up with.
No.
Those aren't the words we grow up learning how to fix ourselves or learning how to understand ourselves. It's never been part of my vocabulary. It's always been, well, write down the problem and what are the five potential solutions. And, it's been very logistical. And, I'm an engineer's daughter. And that has served me so well in so many parts of my life. If I get a flat tire, I can fix it because my dad forced me to learn how to fix a flat tire. And I love that. I love my dad for that. And I love what he has instilled in me and taught me. But I think, in my life, I have taken that to an extreme because it's made me successful in a type of work. And I have let it completely overgrow. It's like the weeds that have overgrown my creative garden. Um, and so I've been trying to get out of it using the same terminology and the same problem solving skills and the same framework that got me into it. And so this has just really right here. I had no idea that this is what we were going to do. We didn't talk about this
No.
before. So I want to share that with people. This was completely unplanned. Um,
Yeah.
and it has completely opened up my understanding that I need different language and tools, and I need to talk to myself and my business and my future
Mhm.
differently. Something I actually have already kind of started working on is connecting with my future Jennifer, because she's over there waiting for me.
Mhm.
And she's watching me go through this journey and she's just waiting to meet me there. And so yeah, this has really opened up a completely new, I guess, the methodology or whatever you want to call it, but a new way of feeling and being realizing that there's a different way to express and understand myself and what I'm going through and what I want out of life and than the typical framework that I've grown up knowing.
Mm. And I know so many people who I've had that conversation with and who would also very much say the same thing as well. And you said something during that which was like, you'd been successful in a particular environment. And I would even offer you to say, you don't need to even say in a particular environment. You have success. You have experienced success. And now you're really interested in experiencing a different sensation of success, a different sensation of success. And it's one that, and this is often, I think, again, as women, and certainly for me, when being in my mid 40s, the the difficulty and the challenge that we can have with this idea, especially via social media, of following a trend or and niching down or anticipating a gap in the market, it's all post-industrialization language, and so all of that space where we would spend our energy, it doesn't fulfill us anymore. It is a different language. My my whole my whole expression of myself in life and through my business and who I am is that I want to support you to create a life that you absolutely love and that you live that life. It's not kept in a drawer for best. It's not the dress that's still in the dry cleaner's bag, right, in the closet or the wardrobe. You are wearing that dress, you are spritzing that perfume, you are nesting, and in the sense of you are looking after your present and your future. You're not sacrificing your bones for someone else's idea of success. And so in my mid 40s, what I really find as well is that, again, when the reason we butt up against niches and trends, etc., is because they're all about external validation. And when you're living what I call a luxurious life, which is love and luxury got together and had a baby, basically, and it's just, again, it's another really yummy sensation, then you know that your success is a sensation that lives within you, and you do not need to do anything to achieve that. You can call upon it, and it is like waving a magic wand, just like you can start to call upon the sensation of love, call upon the sensation of satisfaction, call upon the sensation of intrigue and excitement. And sometimes you got to call upon the energy of, oh my goodness. And I'm going through this in my own business at the moment. We're reviewing a decade of work and principles, and that is a lot of in front of the laptop time. It's a lot of data. I would so much rather be in the garden, but there's no one else that can do certain elements of it. So I know that by doing that now, my future self, is just like waving to me from a lovely beach somewhere, being like, girl, because you spent that 2 months doing this stuff that is, not quite as enjoyable. I understand that not quite as enjoyable it's not about it being a good sensation or a bad sensation. It's just a sensation. It's just a sensation. So then I'm not giving that character kind of a sort of like little devil horns or a twisty mustache or a set of angel wings. I just know that there's, again, in business, there are times when there are administrative things that have to be tended to. And sometimes the founder, the CEO, the entrepreneur is the only person, that can do those things. And that's okay too.
Yeah. You said something in a recent podcast, one of yours, about how we're all architects of a new earth.
Mhm.
And I loved that. And it really made me think about this conversation and the other conversations that I've had with other women, and how we're all trying to like discover and find this new language and this new way of understanding what we're going through, where we aren't, like you said, placing negative on it. I don't have to look at my past as negative. And I love that. Um, in order to, build a new lovely future for myself. And I love that it feels like we're in a time right now where women are much more so, and I know it's happened over the past and everything, but with social media, I think we're just more aware of it probably, that women are really starting to share our voices, and we're really starting to come together more in community, I think, and have these conversations, whether it's podcasts, or I know so many women that are a part of groups that meet together on Facebook or on Zoom or whatever. And I think it does feel like what you said. We're trying to build new structures and new foundations and just new ideas, and be creative and explain things differently and heal ourselves differently than any ways we've ever used in the past, because they're not working. We're overworked and we're stressed and we're depressed, but I kind of feel like we're starting to pull out of that. I feel like so many of us are having these conversations where we're trying to understand it on a different level, and we're trying to give each other tools and experiences, and here's what I'm seeing and here's what I think and what do you think about this. And sometimes we're coming up with off the wall outrageous concepts and ideas and ways of talking about it, where it's beautiful and it's fun. And I see a lot more women getting on TikTok or Instagram or whatever and just doing the free dancing and the shaking it out. And, like we're allowing ourselves so much more of this freedom and discussion and openness around how it can look. And I love it. I think it's amazing. And I think we can't have these conversations enough, which is why, any woman that is trying to whatever, start a podcast, start a blog, just get out there and be in community with other women. Just do it, do it, do it, because it is changing my life, I know, and I hope it's changing many other lives to think about their life differently. And I have teenagers, and I want them to grow up in this juicy language, in this juicy world where they can think about their choices much differently than just, well, let's write down the pros and cons of this degree path over this degree path. I don't want that for my kids.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right about everything that you're sharing there. And I think because we're certainly post that experience of what I refer to as the plague, as COVID. And so, joining in community, especially online, from this year onwards, really is going to be an active big yes in choice. We're gonna, if we are not in community, in fact, and if we're not in a place of where we are liberating ourselves and liberating our communities for the purpose of being an architect of the new earth, it won't work. It won't work. We're just, we're not interested in how things were done previously. We really are curious about, again, how can things be like muddy bliss, as I call it, like how can things be a little bit messy and they go out and we meet one another and we share the tools and we share in the magic, and that's really important. And when it comes to you and your business, and when it comes to other women in their business, if you follow, when you follow what's in your heart to share, because for me, again, no matter how I spin it, I am a love teacher. That's what my purpose is. My purpose is here to be an expression of love and to remind you of how to do that for yourself, and then you can go and do that for other people. In amongst everything that there is, and so that's what I'm that's my so then I pour love into everything. And so whatever you're doing, it's like when you offer it from your heart, from that, almost from a humble bow of, the God of my understanding, love source, gave me this gift that I feel vibrating through my body to have this conversation with you in this way and bring this medicine to you, and it tastes this sweet. This is what I offer you, with a bowed heart, with a humble heart, with a humble heart, so that we can all again put down our burdens, and then we can pick up our basket of gifts. When you offer that into the world, the people who also require that medicine, that nourishment, that nectar, that honey, we're looking for it too, and we are all like little honeybees. We're like, oh, where's the hive that I want to go and hang out in? That honey smells sweet. I'm going over there, thank you so much. Yeah, so again, it's like we're not idiots. Humans are amazing. Like what our mirror neurons do, what our biology does, like it takes care of so much that the thinking mind cannot even comprehend. And again, when you create what you want to create, when you bring your art, when you bring your poetry, like you'll have heard me talk about this on my podcast, we're not writing sales content anymore. We're writing love letters. We're not writing conversion content. We're writing poetry. And when I read that, and then, when I read your things or listen to your podcast or see you in the world, I'm like, oh my God, this woman she's making these choices for herself, and she's got these teenagers that she's also giving these choices to, and she's taking courageous steps. And I'm like, yes, I want to spend time with that person. Of course I do. Of course I do. And that's the perfume that we're emitting. I don't give a shit about anybody's niche. I don't even, I want to, are you a happy person? Are you following your heart? Are you doing what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it? Are you in integrity? Do you have a faith that you follow? Tell me about that. How does that lift you up? And when you are burdened, may I sit with you so that I can support you with those burdens, and may I sit with you so I can support you with your blessings. because you better believe that I will celebrate you in both sets of circumstances. That is why I believe we are being architects of a new earth, because when we heal the war in ourselves, when we stop thinking that we have to abolish these monsters that live within us, these parts of us that have served us dutifully, powerfully, committedly, for sometimes decades. When we try and, sort of end them to a certain extent or put them in the closet or hide them, that's where our heartbreak comes from. That's where the war in us comes from, and you feel it. It's so visceral in the heart, and then when we can come to a place of joyful surrender that says, I've been trying to separate myself from myself. I thought I had to amputate myself from myself. I thought I had to abandon myself to be acceptable. But actually, I'm welcoming all my little weird monsters. Come in, come home, come and get a cup of tea, whatever it is, And I have them all bug-eyed and one ear is missing and whatever they are, I don't know, like one hasn't got a leg, whatever it is, like, those weird toys in Toy Story, it's like, okay, creepy little thing, you're welcome too, Why are you walking like that? Okay, I don't understand, but I love you still. And so again, when we can heal the war in ourselves, there isn't anything to war about outside. And we got to hold gently with an open palm via the heart to that vision that we are birthing a new earth, that we are willing to take sacred responsibility for our part of the garden, and that we share. And when mistakes are made, apologies are said meaningfully and quickly. We learn and we expand and we move on. And when we give space for all of it, you know, we're always going to have to pick up weeds from the garden, right? And also because somebody somewhere said they were weeds, but they're still plants. So also in ourselves, in our heart, in our being, don't dismiss your shame or disgust or grief or overwhelm or what you think of as imperfection as being unworthy of love, because it's all worthy of love. And that is the beginning of being able to create and birth and bring transformative art into the world that you get to call a business, that becomes something that remunerates you, that you have a relationship with for a really long time. And a year from now, we can all look back and be like, wow, that was amazing. Some of that was tough, some of that was beautiful, but all of it came through me. All of it came through me. And I received every drop of support and took aligned, inspired action. And even the days that I was tired, I made sure that I enjoyed something beautiful and I gave myself a bit of grace. I mean, I can't think of a lovelier way to do business or life.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is literally what I want to be able to say at the end of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was just beautiful. And you are a poet. I
Thank you.
hope I hope that you do what you're saying that you're thinking of doing and publish.
Yeah, yeah, it
Um,
is
be-
time. Yeah.
yeah, because I want everyone to hear you. You're just amazing. I have loved spending time with you. I will continue to fangirl and obsessively listen to your podcast. And wait for your publications to come out. And I know without a doubt, this is not the last conversation for us.
Mhm.
One of the things on your website that I love is you say, choose yourself, embrace miracles, and let the magic unfold. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit about how people can join you besides just your podcast, but give the name of that and also the membership that you have where people can spend more time in your presence because this hour, I can't overstate how meaningful it's been to me. I'm probably going to close my laptop and cry a little bit after, which is great.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so thank you so much, but please tell us where people can spend more time with you.
I will, I will. And I would just speak to that bit of tenderness as well. Just to say also for anyone that's listening, tend to yourself really lovingly after this episode. If emotion is present, allow it to be there. Don't say it means this or it means that. Your body is creating more space for more love. How divine. Drink a little bit more water today. Maybe you'll need, you want to go for a walk in the fresh air, have a wee nap. Nourish. Yeah, perfect. Oh my God, yeah, amazing, amazing. So self, that type of self-care is really important because this is a transmission. This is a prayer. This is active participation in magic. So that being there, I wouldn't be doing. I would have to include my duty of care in that too because of what we've experienced together today. And absolutely, if you would like to experience more of this, then my membership is called Abundant Heart because that is what life is about. I feel so. There's lots of information about that on the website. There's a delicious living library as well. There's all sorts of goodness that comes with it. And again, it's about us being able to create more of what we want in the world so that it sustains and you get to create a life that you love and absolutely live it. And then also the podcast is Whiskey Made Woman, and I'm Scottish, so it's whiskey without an E for me. And that's available on Spotify and Apple should you wish. And actually this day of recording, I do not know how, but the 50th episode went out today,
Oh my
which is
gosh.
wild.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So, and you could think about that. That's a course in and of itself. It's like 50 love lessons right there, and there's so much magic in all of that. And that is still only skimming the surface because when we do work together, there's so much more that is possible and sustainable and of course magical.
I can attest to that from just this call and from already have listened to so many of your episodes. This was just a step above, because it was so personal and being in your presence and you being able to hear my story and then give me the feedback about where to take that. Like that was just absolutely beautiful. So, uh, well,
My
thank
pleasure.
you so much. I do recommend everybody go check it out, Whiskey Made Woman. Your website is www.loveschock, and that's SCHOCK.com, right? Okay. And you have a lot of beautiful courses. I want to take your fairy magic. I also, it's now on my bucket list to apply to come spend time with you in your home in Scotland.
Yes, yes, for an immersion. Oh,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah, because physically being together, oh my goodness, that is a whole other experience because the flesh, like again, when mirror neurons are actually in the same physical space, it's extraordinary what can happen. So I look forward to that greatly. Yeah.
Well, that's on my bucket list. So, well, thank you so much. I have so loved this and I appreciate you so much. And I know we will have so many more conversations.
Definitely. Thank you so much.